Michelle?
Here.
Anya?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
Next, we have the consent agenda, and I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Anya?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes. Next, we have the report from the Mulhall Volunteer Fire Department. Anybody here? I don't know anything, but it's been so wet, I'm guessing that they're good.
Yeah. Well, and Z brought me the information to send in for their license, the state license for Christie. They're up here. We were kind of displaced right now. Send in the money for the state license for the EMTs.
Mm-hmm.
And we also am sending in the fees for the Heartland Medical Direction for their Heartland paperwork and stuff. But so we're getting that underway. And they should be expecting their first delivery here soon. She asked me about having it delivered here or there, and want to make sure we get it in. He doesn't want it left out, so we'll keep an eye on it.
As in like medical equipment delivery?
Yeah. So they're getting closer. They're moving right along. They're getting all the paperwork lined out.
Okay. Next, we have discussion, consideration, and possible action in regards to budget expenditures for June. I didn't see anything. Did you guys have any questions? Next, we have the school shelter protocol, and I don't know if there's anybody here to speak about that. I can only assume it's because, anybody from the school or Officer Z when I say that. It's because the last time we had the tornado warning, people went to the school expecting to be able to get in the glass doors between the school and the band room, if y'all are familiar with how the school is set up. And instead so there's a door on the north side of the building in the corner that doesn't have any windows, and that's the door that was unlocked. And a lot of people didn't know that apparently, and I don't know if you want to.
That's just, they've always been able to enter through both sides of that. And we do have people that walk to the shelter from the other end of town. So as long as in an emergency, that's too much to ask them to walk around the whole building to get in. So even if he only wants to open one door to the shelter, even if we could open those glass doors so they could pass through that hall to get to that door. But it was,
I see what you're saying.
if something had hit that night, we would have had fatalities, several of them.
So I guess the answer would be is we just need to clarify it with the school.
Yes.
But I know the Officer Z, I don't know, did he say anything to you, Debbie, or anything?
I know when he posted, his concern was he would only like to have one door open for the sake of his head count before he notifies the county, which I understand. I don't think we're ever going to have that many people in there that it's an issue,
Right.
But like I say, if he could unlock the hallway so that they could pass through to get to that door from the other end of town, I think that would be a fair compromise if he only wants the one door to the shelter open.
But he is going by what the superintendent tells him he can't do.
Well, Bobby's always opened that door. So that's just what everybody's been used to. So it was just a communication issue because they probably didn't sit and talk about how did you do it? What should I do? So
So I think
something we just need to discuss and clarify.
with the school.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's necessarily if we need to talk to Z to ask him to talk to the school, or if we need to talk to the school ourselves.
I think all parties need to be at a meeting. The
Yeah.
superintendent, us,
So,
where we are all on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
And if the superintendent, since he's the one in charge of that building, says we can only come in through door F, then let's designate that from the outside where everybody knows this is where you come
Yeah.
to get in.
so that's where we're at on that. Which school starts next month, so Debbie, maybe we can send an email to Mr. Ballmer and ask him if he would come to a meeting and maybe we could discuss it with him. Does that work for everyone?
That's fine with me.
Next, we have a moratorium for short-term rentals, and Anya, being on the planning commission, is going to talk a little bit more about this because we've had some things come up and it's concerned us a little bit.
So what started this topic is every year OSU has several weekends that their hotels are completely booked. Graduation, parents' weekends, homecoming, things like that. And we've noticed an uptick in the conversations on social media that they're starting to look for property opportunities outside of the city of Stillwater so they can open Airbnbs, things like that. So our concern is we've been researching what's happening in some of the communities that are allowing Airbnbs, and the property companies are coming in and offering far above market value for the properties. People sell, and then you've got a town full of short-term rentals instead of homes for families. And we have such an ecosystem in this town that depends on our school doing well. If we run out of homes for our people to live in to put their kids in school here, we're not going to have a town. So we just want to consider a moratorium. Oklahoma City just did a 180-day moratorium on short-term rentals so that we have time to do the research, to talk to our attorney, to talk to other towns that may have already written ordinances on those, but just to make sure that we make the right decision for our town, but also not cutting off an income opportunity for people if we can make it work in a way that makes sense. So that's all we really want right now, is to discuss a moratorium until we can do thorough research to make sure we make a fair decision.
And I think we have to have like a specific ordinance for a moratorium written up by Bryce or whatever. So, but I'm all for giving us some time to look at this so we don't get into a situation where we have more houses owned by people who don't live here than we do people who do
Yeah.
live here. So, but I also don't want to restrict people from being able to, rent out if they, like if this is their primary residence and then for some reason because I've heard of this, and I wouldn't do it myself, but people who rent out their house and then they'll like leave for the weekend or whatever the period of time is, and somebody rents their house from them for the week, and then they come back.
Right.
So,
And
anyway,
it may be a thing where you put percentages on it.
Yeah.
The time you spend as your primary residence,
yeah.
things like that. But it's definitely concerning enough that we want to get ahead of it before it becomes an issue, because the property management in Stillwater is already looking our direction.
When I heard all that, I started doing some studying on it too, because I wanted to make sure if it falls under zoning regulations. I do study, the state does not regulate it, it's up to each town.
Right.
You set whatever fees. If they do have a Airbnb, they are required to pay their federal, state, and local taxes on any money. They're required per square foot, how many smoke alarms they have to have, how many carbon monoxide detectors they have to have, how many fire extinguishers they have to have, and depending on the size of the property, the parking.
Right.
But also research where Bethany, War Acres, they're fighting it now too, because
Yes.
they've lost so much property because these real estate companies can afford to pay double the price for a property, and
Yes.
and
then
they
that-
come in there and offer me a ton of money more than what mine was. I'd be tempted maybe, but
And it, long term, it skews the property values, which skews your property taxes. And, some of these neighborhoods I've been researching, it gets to the point the locals can't afford to live there anymore. So we don't want that to happen.
well, and another thing I look at is because we don't have full-time law enforcement here, we get a bunch of strangers in our town over the weekend causing problems, having big parties. We don't have no control over that. And also, if these big real estate companies come in and buy those properties, if they're not following the ordinances of the town, they've got the money and the big time lawyers to fight all that, where
Right.
we don't have that ability.
So our first step right now is just to try to get ahead of it, I guess. Chris?
Well, I'm definitely in agreement on researching it.
So,
And this list was reasons to ban. Don't take that as that's what we're after. It's just some of the explanation.
I have a question. I have a couple of people looking at buying the bank and they want to make an Airbnb out of that. It's not somebody, that bank will never be something that will have kids in the school system. It would really be more of a commercial venture. If this is passed as it says, they couldn't do that.
No, I would think it would be something in residential zones. I think that'd be a great purpose for your building. So right next to your restaurant in your commercial zone, I think that would probably be great. I don't see why anything we would write would affect that
we're thinking more in the
within
community, in the neighborhood, because everything's zoned residential except for along the highway.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that would be great.
Out in Airbnb would be great.
Yeah.
How many houses a year come up for sale in Mulhall?
Well, the problem is it's not about what comes up for sale, because some of these property companies come in and offer so much money that what wasn't for sale might be at the right price. So they've come into some small towns and pretty much wiped out the housing. Because, if somebody come in and offered me $300,000 for my lot, you got to really stop and think about that, and that's what they're doing. So we just want to do the research.
Have them call me if you find one.
Yeah, me too. But anyhow, there is some properties in town, Airbnb would look nice.
there's,
Lawn would be mowed and cleaned up, less dogs. We're getting pretty close to being the cities we land up as far as some of the properties go.
mhm. Yep. Okay. Next, we have Brent Stevenson, concerns on the flooding situation in his area, and for those that don't really know where he lives. He lives down by the ballpark at that end of town to the east.
Yeah, big green and white barn.
So,
And Beth lives next to me. And that last, the last big rain we got, Beth got flooded twice. And that's been going on for a while. We thought we sort of had it fixed. It actually started when my mom and dad were living in that old house. They started getting flooded. But yeah, we probably, I don't know how much more to say. We need to sit down and talk to probably the lawyer and you guys and kind of go over the whole thing, because it's been going on for a while, and essentially it has to do with changing the flow of the natural flow of the water, in my opinion, and that's what's causing all the trouble. And it's, you know, the problem is that it's not Mulhall land. So,
It's-
you know,
your problem is caused by the pasture on the other side that's outside of the city
there's a
limits.
big ditch. There's a great big. There's 2 ponds up there. Actually, there's 3 ponds. That drains about a section, maybe a section and a half of water property. And that was always. I lived there my whole life. My mom was born in that little white house next to me, and that was my grandmother's house. And saw lots of big rainstorms, and never did we ever get. The ditch would be full. It might actually even run out of the ditch a little bit, but nobody's house got zapped. Okay. All of a sudden, water started coming from the pasture instead of going down the ditch. With my parents, they fought that for a while. I didn't realize how bad it was when I moved back. The back of my barn was almost 2 feet underwater, the first big storm we had. So anyway, Frank and I worked that out some. There's been other changes made that was going to make it worse. But I got pictures and things, and I think my biggest concern right now, I think I'm fairly, other than it got close to going back in my barn again, this last big rain when Beth got it, but Beth's house wasn't there then. And so, but there's essentially that's been blocked off behind Beth's house. So the water can't get through the ditch. And so what happened, there's 2 things that happened there, but what happened there is it couldn't get through because there's a couple of small tin horns. It backed up. It's essentially like a dam. It went over the dam right through her back door, right out her front door. So, anyway, I've been researching this, trying to figure out what can be done. That's why we probably need to.
Which I saw Frank walk in, and I'm glad Frank walked in to see, and Willis, if you guys have any ideas for, because we have an easement thing right up there that we didn't know.
Yeah.
We have a little more than we thought.
Brent also found a crushed culvert, the one that's not draining, and I think that one might be on the town easement.
Okay.
It's filled.
If those maps are right.
It's not big enough for what I would consider big enough compared to all the other ones in that ditch. There's 2 of them, but they're small, and it can't. Like I said, I did a little. Beth and I both spent a bunch of money getting that ditch made bigger and deeper when we both moved in, all the way down to the park. Okay, and but it doesn't matter if they can't get into the ditch. So that's kind of where we're at. And but I don't know what to do about it. I tried to talk to Lane Goral, to which they were all very, and I think it's his boss, they're very understanding, there's nothing they can do about it. Talked to a couple of different people from the state, and it's essentially, there's a rule that you can't do that. If you do, you're liable for any damages that are caused, but there's not a law that says you can't do that.
Which is can't do,
You can't change the natural flow of the water.
which happened on the other side.
Yeah.
In the pasture, right?
Right.
Okay.
So, and there's enough changes there. There's enough that hasn't. I lived in that pasture my whole life. Okay, that was the Kincaids owned that, and we were on good terms with them, and so that was essentially my playground growing up. And there was a time when I could have told you where every tree was in that place, but it's been a long time, and I don't know what else has changed up there. I know there's some other things that have changed, but all of that could be part of what's going on with the current problem. I wonder, I've talked to Frank too, if we need to get, see if we can't get a OSU engineer, somebody to come down and look at that whole basin and try to figure out what really needs to be done there. You know, like I said, my whole life, Beth's house wasn't there, so we didn't really care about that. Now there was Beth, the people that owned the place you bought it from, Prince's, they lived there for a while, and somebody might ask them if they ever got flooded.
They never did.
Okay.
I'll tell you that.
And they had 2 mobile homes.
So
Yeah,
they're
the mobile homes are higher, but I don't think, the water never, I remember my grandmother being, one time she was worried about it getting up to our, we had, before the tornado, there was an old 1-car garage back there, and it was almost to get to that. She was worried about it getting under the house, because we had one of those under house heaters. But it never did. Now the park the ballpark was under 2 feet of water, and the park was under 2 feet of water, and it was clear up to 77, but never flooded. So, anyway, there's supposedly there's 100 feet, like we were saying, I think. Now, I was always told this, that there's behind my place and my mom's place and Beth's place is a 50-foot easement, because that was on the original maps, that was a alley.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the east side of Beth's is supposed to be a road.
Right.
So there's a 100-foot easement there, supposedly. Now that, I don't know how that plays in. That's where we need to have probably a lawyer go, what can we do with that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest concern is maybe we fix all that, but then what happens behind that? Does it get changed again? So all that we did is, I don't know what to do.
So,
But right now, something needs to happen really quick, right by Beth's house, or she's gonna get flooded. The next big rain we get, she's getting flooded.
so Willis, have you looked at the culvert they're talking about or anything?
All the culverts I see is, but
It's,
I've looked at the ones he's talking about, and they are restricting flow off of that pipe, I believe. But I'm not an engineer.
Right.
And I don't like to make decisions on things like this that are gonna be probably divisive with people. I think we should have an engineer look, not only at that, but look at this building here that floods on occasion. I think if we could get a survey of the whole town and maybe see where improvements could be made to stop this from happening also, maybe we could get a 2-for-1 deal there. I don't know. Y'all talk to engineers, and even an engineer watch this thing flood. Well, something could have changed between the time this is built and now. And but I don't know how to get an engineer in here. I'm not really a stormwater guy. I deal with water problems, and I can't fix all of them. And when it comes to the legal actions, like he's talking about, if somebody changes the flow of water upstream, it and it causes property damage, they are liable. But how do we prove that? I don't know. But I would like to see the town get an engineer in here to look at the whole system and say, you guys don't have enough drainage here, you don't have enough here. If we can change something, if it's up there or downstream here or in between here and there, I think we can improve it. Maybe
So,
a piece at a time. Now, as far as whether the town pays for the stuff across the fence, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm not good at trying to figure out those kind of things.
do we have an easement on the other side of that fence, or that's
I don't know.
McNeil's, or isn't that who owns it, McNeil?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Like, we need to find the maps. Like I said, it was 30 years ago when I saw a map that showed that easement, because there was some playful banter back and forth between old Mr. Kincaid and my mom about who was taking whose land by where the fence was. And so, and he's the one that put up the fence at the time, so it was his fault if we were wrong.
So, Frank, in the short term, can the, what word am I looking for? The culverts?
Mm-hmm.
Can any of those be replaced in the short term, or do we need to have the engineer first?
Yes. Well, they're on private property, or I'm just gonna take them out.
Well, they think it's private property, but it's not.
If
It's
it's-
in the easement, but.
If that's actually in the easement, then we could probably take them
We
out.
gotta have an engineer come in and look at that
That's
stuff.
what, if we need to have somebody tell us,
But I'm not gonna do that until
I
we have
know
somebody
Phil Brown
say
was
this.
involved in it,
Right.
but I don't know what all.
we need somebody to look and go, do those easements really exist? And then what does that mean?
Right.
'Cause none of us know what that means.
And
Well,
some of
and
that one,
the
Pinehurn-
easements are-
Pinehurn was still in.
On that
Well, I got on
one,
the board.
25 feet.
That
from
was probably
the
one
line.
step.
It's important how long the street.
Okay.
So I don't, I'm sure they're
So I think Phil Brown retired.
state land.
I think that his son or somebody took over.
Hmm.
His-
I haven't been able to.
Really?
After the tornado, we took that ditch out.
I can try some more,
They
but
didn't because he didn't want.
Yeah, in front of it
He
there.
didn't want that ditch.
So maybe they're not, maybe he's not
All
over
that
there.
water down.
It's in front of your
He
place.
worked with
It
somebody
comes across
else.
the road because the engineer, when they come in to do the roads. it
So
gets
what's
down.
y'all's thought on?
I have sent an email.
Yeah, I sent it right on down the hill.
The school's out, and I haven't received any feedback from them. I sent it to two engineers, but one of them, I guess, no longer is sure. But the one did.
Could we start with a
I think
survey
also,
of the easements?
he's not here
Like,
today
that's
'cause
something
Yeah.
we can do,
Gary
right?
Glass,
I said,
right?
could we start with a survey of the easements? That's something we would have control over.
Our neighbor.
Yeah.
I would
His-
say yes.
Yeah. At least then
It
we
looked
would
like
know
his place
which
was
property
getting
we
flooded
can
too,
do
but,
something to and what we can't.
Yeah.
Yes, it got to his.
Are we talking every easement in the town?
No,
or
I'm
just-
talking about around their
Just
property.
for now,
Where those culverts are on the
Yeah.
east side and
to see
then west
if
of
the
their
culverts
homes.
are
Or not
in
west,
the,
north.
on
North side and the
Yeah.
east side.
city
Yeah.
property or private property or whatever.
Just to see if those, because if they're on the easement, then we could go ahead and take care of that problem at least.
Or at least minimize it.
Yeah.
It needs, my biggest concern, I will, Gary, our other neighbor this time, we thought he got flooded too, but I talked to him the next day and they were out of town, but his Brady hole filled up with water, so, which had never happened before.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, my biggest concern at this point is if things are left the way they are, I'm pretty sure next time we get a big rain, it doesn't have to be a super rain, it's just a
I
big
put my
rain.
sandbags out, I didn't get flooded by mine.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to do that every time it rains.
I'm okay to have Dave do some work in my backyard.
But I even won't do anything until, I mean, it's to the problem now where it needs to be engineered. I mean,
Right.
frankly,
So I don't wanna redo my house.
Or at least
until,
figure out
we won't flood.
who's responsible for what portion.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. That we don't have to hunt down the engineer to find out which part is easement. Like,
So-
that's a step we could take now.
We can start with the survey.
Yeah, and then see if we can't get somebody to respond to us as far as finding us an engineer.
Well, I think, didn't Roy said that he would,
Roy just asked me not to say anything to his dad until we have a definitive answer, because he was recently diagnosed with cancer. And we're trying to keep.
We don't want to stress him out if we don't have to. Of course.
He has
Well-
leukemia, and Rhonda said yesterday they gave him 3 to 6 months.
Oh, they did. See, I couldn't hear him.
Well, I asked her after church because I didn't hear who she said. So,
anyway,
I think,
I mean, it'd be nice if we didn't have to ever worry about it at any point, whatever that takes. But right now, like I said, somebody needs to look at it, because I think, I would bet money that the next time we get a big rain, she gets water through her back door again.
so I think we can kind of agree that our first step is to get a survey. And we can go ahead and do that, at least, until we can find an engineer. So, to come and,
The, Lane was talking, or was it Lane Doral, you might talk to him, because he knows what's going on, and he had said that there was some, state engineers that they might get to come and look, hydrologists, I think, they're called, I don't know.
Okay.
do they know him like through the fire department or something?
I don't,
No, it's through
His
his
work.
work.
Oh.
His work.
What's he do? Someone kind of.
he's something to do with the Logan County
Agricultural.
agriculture something.
pretty
Okay.
sure it's NRC.
Okay.
And then there's, I talked to the state lady, what's her name? Anyway, I just kept working my way up the deal, trying to figure out who could help us. And, they said they also could probably provide engineers, although it's a long, there's only a few of them and there's lots of work to do, so getting them here in a timely manner may not.
We could also contact the OMMS people and see if they have resources for that.
OSU might send somebody over too, it's like a class thing.
Well, that's why, I've already contacted them,
Oh, okay.
but school's out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But they do have
They
summer
haven't
courses.
They haven't gotten back to me.
So, OMMS also has like a community thing, right, too?
Yeah, they've got a portal where we can ask questions. So somebody might have a resource for us.
For a engineer.
Yeah.
And I'm sure engineers don't wanna know if you got a survey where the easements are.
Right. So either way, we need to do the easement survey.
Plant vegetation, a survey? Or is he
He's a home inspector, I know, but I don't know about him,
Not
but
sure.
about a surveyor. So
I think that's right. I think that's who I used last time.
So he
Betcha.
know how to get over it. So for now, we go ahead and, authorize to have the survey done.
I think that's what our first step needs to be. It's the one thing we have control over, that we can get the ball rolling.
Yeah. So if we're good with that, then I'll go ahead and make a motion that we contact the surveyor to see where our easements, see what's what down there,
Yeah, all upstream.
Second.
where those culverts are.
Well, depending on where the oh, there's from
Yeah.
this side. Okay.
And you?
Yes.
See, this is, it's like there's
Chris,
a name
Yes.
across there, and that's
and
Beth.
Michelle.
And
Yes,
this is where those.
and we'll let you guys know what we find out. Okay.
Okay, so that basically will go into our next little problem issue too. Because Brett's interested in,
The purchase of the easement at the end of Craig Street. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's a thing or not. My parents and my grandmother there's a chicken house there that's now full of junk and an old lean-to, and that's all really on city property. Okay? And anyway,
What do you think of all?
I want to buy essentially it's 2 lots. There's a 100-foot easement there. And so the lots there are 50 by 70. And I'd like to buy those
You
2.
can't sell it for that.
Well, stop. I'd like to buy those 2, and then I'll have some say over cleaning it up and getting all the
off
junk.
the city property.
Yeah, get all the junk out of it. But right now, it's sort of in no man's land, and unfortunately, my brother has part of it. So,
Just tell him we're coming.
yeah, coming to clean it up. So, but anyway, I just soon have that and then connect all of it.
Okay. So we'll do the survey, and then I guess, I don't know what the rules are on that. We'll have to ask Bryce about that one.
Yeah.
So we'll get with our attorney on the purchase part.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's possible. I just thought, well, I'd ask. It's not gonna hurt anything.
That's right.
And the city needs money, and I'm willing to pay for it.
This building needs to be lifted up about 3 feet.
Look, I already asked if it was possible to lift the building after you've
Yeah.
already built it, and I was told no, so. I was being facetious, obviously. Anyway. Okay, so, kind of covered Beth at the same time. So next, we have appearances. Do we have anything? You were on the agenda. Next is miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous? Do you guys have anything? No? Okay, then, and I don't have anything. So I make a motion, we adjourn at 7:39.
Second.
Anya,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and Michelle.
Yes.
Figure out where people. Some probably. Oh, yeah.
Just lay it out, look at it.
The Mulhall Public Works Authority will meet in regular session on Monday, July 14th, 2025 at 7:40 at the Town Hall.
Michelle,
Here.
Anya,
Here.
and Chris.
Here.
Next, we have the consent agenda, and I make a motion we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Anya,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and Michelle.
Yes. Next, we have a report on water and sewer.
The rain has really been a problem. And it ain't going away. So we're dealing with a lot of bypass reports and trying to irrigate when we can, but we don't want to flood everybody out over there either. But I guess as far as, we're doing the best we can with what we got, I guess.
I see
We do get a lot of water, just so you know, when it rains a lot, we get a lot of, they call it I&I, which is inflow. It goes into our sewer lines. It's not all from the surface. If you dig a hole downtown here about 6 foot deep, you'll hit water. And a lot of our sewer lines are in that layer of water, so when we get a lot of rain like this year, it's continuing to go in cracks or whatever in the pipes we got. The only real fix to that is replacing a lot more sewer line. We've replaced as much as we've got grants for so far. But without more grant money, we're kind of stuck with just dealing with it.
Are you lining them? The current?
The last two we replaced we just replaced them, new lines. Now, we did pull some in, that's been several years ago, we pulled some poly pipe in through some of the lines on the south end of town.
Burst about 4 blocks.
From the lift station across the road and then back south and then up the hill. That was all done with poly pipe. But what we do on that is we find grant money occasionally, and then we usually have an engineer come in and recommend how we do it. And sometimes it's cheaper to do just replace the line, sometimes it might be cheaper to pull in a liner or something like that. That's just kind of up to what kind of money we have and who we can find to do the job.
I just think, I don't know if they do it anymore, but Ditch Witch, there's a training group at Ditch Witch, and they were all, when I was working there, which wasn't that long ago, they were always looking for where they would actually come and do it pretty much for free to train people how to do it. But they would, you know, what they'll do is they'll bring in now they'll piecemeal it, right? They're not going to do it all at one time, but you know, they might do 100 feet and then the next time do another 100 feet. And then
If you got connections, be happy to talk to them.
okay, I'll see if they're still doing that and who needs to be, who the person is.
Normally what we spent last time on.
But you need like a master plan.
Do you remember?
Do this much now, do this.
Yeah.
$100,000 on one.
If they're still doing it. They
It
might
was
be-
$100,000 to do two blocks. Or is that, yeah, I think it's 2 blocks.
Up to the third.
We did another one down here for $60,000, which the line was shallower. Ground conditions also determine how much it's going to cost.
Well, they were playing, weren't they?
Yeah.
But if you know of somebody that can do
it
stuff for free,
Yeah,
we're
I remember
always
watching it.
open to suggestions.
That was before they were worried about caving in because Kent and I playing.
And we had to rent a pump out too.
Yeah.
We did have to rent a pump. We think maybe it's already stuck in the line between the South Lagoon and North Lagoon. This might not interest any of you, but it normally flows from one to the other by gravity, and it stopped up. So we were in danger of breaching the dike on the south sill, and we had our pumps tied up because the power was out at the lift station. So we were kind of stuck, and we made the decision to just go rent a pump. And we didn't know when it was gonna stop raining. I mean, if you could tell me that, I'd like to know too. But we're just trying to take care of our dikes on our lagoons. We don't want to lose the lagoon. So that was why we did that. Since then, we have the line, would you say it's working? It's not 100%. But we don't have to have a pump on it now. But there was a couple nights we spent, I remember Father's Day was interesting. That was a nice morning. Yeah, about 4 o'clock, our lift station said both pumps were running, we had high levels. I was glad the power didn't go out, because we really would have had a problem. But I had to go move the pump to, Willis has helped me a bunch on this too. He's done a lot of pump moving. In the lightning? In the mud, and that was fun, wasn't it? We drove out there about got stuck, in the mud. We got over off in the pond. I won't have to tell everybody everything. But it's been interesting. We're handling it. It'll get better someday, we keep saying.
When it's off training?
I got some stuff I wanna add to, Frank. I'm done. Go ahead. Okay, you've got two photos in there. One is Frank's wall, right there, that you kneel down on,
Mm-hmm.
and, I didn't like that. This has been like this since the system was put in.
With the board?
And I took the initiative and had Steve Carroll build a better thing, yes. Double trap door in where we get down in that weird,
Purple screen.
like Leslie chance of taking a bath in the lagoon.
Looks good.
It does look good.
I had never fell in it, but he thought I might.
25 years ago.
Basically, Steve Terrell did that for us.
But troubles it
He did
has
the
been
welding.
this year.
It looks great.
It does.
Problem is they wouldn't go.
Another thing, I went to, water and wastewater school this last week. Learned a lot. I learned more than I wanted to know. By state DEQ standards, new employee has to have a temporary license filed within 10 days after employment. I didn't know that. This is just for y'all's future, whenever I'm gone, somebody new in here, they gotta go online, download the application, get it in within 10 days after employment.
Okay.
Which is good for a year, gives them a year, fiscal year to get their water license. Okay, I didn't have one on file. So I went down and got my schooling. And I couldn't take my test that day because I didn't have an application for DEQ. So I talked to the instructor, really good folks, done it down there at Colback. And he said, well, you can go to Akron Labs. I said, well, there's one in Stillwater. So I called Stillwater, and the next open testing day is at August 1st. This is on Thursday. After further investigation, that application's gotta be at DEQ 3 weeks prior to testing, which was last Friday. So me and the clerk worked really hard Friday morning to get everything up to snuff in the envelope so I could take it down, trim and cancel the stamp for Friday. So we're good on that.
Okay. You can't submit it online? No?
No, it's either gonna be mail or fax. What we learned with DEQ is you don't trust anything unless you hand it to them first. They have a tendency to lose things. Now, I couldn't have drove it down there and hand delivered it, but the cancel stamp was just a sweat right there. So I'll be going over on first, take the test.
Okay.
But future reference, anybody new coming in, within 10 days, they need a temporary license. There was 5 or 6 of us in that class that didn't have one, didn't know. I didn't have to do it when I did mine. I don't know, there must be something. So that's where I'm at on my testing. And, having fun until then. But not the turtles about the man.
You could just get that one out of that pipe.
And we even had a nest hatch this year, so we're helping the environment. It's a healthy lagoon, it's good county wildlife.
Well, it took 3 trips from Lunkenville to get it opened up.
Yeah,
Is that what that
Yeah, that's the local bill
Invoices.
charges. We had them come out with a jet truck.
That's two of them. That's only two visits. I've not received one for the third visit.
The third time was strong, probably got to open up a little bit.
Maybe it's 2 for 1.
But also, the deal Steve Turtle built for us will keep turtles and keep them in there.
Oh.
But this is the first time in my career here that I've seen that happen. But who knows what can happen.
And on a side note, the lift station down here, y'all know how high up there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me and Frank have got the mountain climbers to get up on it. So I'm gonna be building some stairs or steps, make it easier to get up on top of it.
Okay.
We either need some younger help or we're just gonna have to make everything handicap accessible.
Well, you have some stuff you're gonna repurpose and make the steps, right, Willis? Willis? You had something you were gonna repurpose and make the steps.
I'm still scavenging parts,
Gotcha.
but I gotta get my supervisor's opinion on how to do it. What we need to do. Yeah, I'm just a little guy.
Moving up.
Okay. You guys have anything else?
No, I just want to say thanks to Willis. He's done a lot of work. He's helped me out a bunch. Because we've had a lot of, it's been very active, more active than I'd like. Usually everything's pretty quiet this time of year. It's been a tough year.
It's a tough month.
You started in April, and it ain't stopped. So,
This has nothing to do with sewer, but the reason it's warm in here, OG&E blink fire. Last, Saturday. Here, it was last week it blinked when I got a little dusty. Anyhow, there's a three amp fuse in here. And it blew that fuse. So he's supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm sure it's the same thing. Him putting up fuse. I don't know what it is that OG&E having issues so much this year. About 1 week it was snake. Now he's had to find the pole. Shorted up the fuse. You know,
Weird stuff.
it's weird. I mean, they're really dependable. They have been all these years. But it seems like it's kicking the butt this year.
The last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Windmills.
But I did ask Dustin about putting a surge protector on the air conditioner. And he said, yes, we can do that. You get me a price.
Hopefully they'll have it tomorrow. Price for you.
I don't know.
They got one of those.
Flashes every day,
I know. And
all the time, just flashes and
it was just one little blink that took that thing out.
Next, if you guys are finished. Yeah. Okay. Next, we have a report from the water clerk.
Everything's as well as it can be under the circumstances. I've got somebody to collect from, but we'll get it.
She got mine just now.
Yeah, I got his. That's what I was worried about.
Well, I know you're making do with this crazy situation.
Yeah, it's been boggling.
So, okay. Next, we have discussion, consideration, and possible action in regards to the budget expenditures for June. And of course, I'd say the biggest out of the ordinary they already addressed was the Luckin bill for the lagoon and half of that flushed out. That's the one I jumped out. Of course, we had to pay our payroll taxes from the quarter. So, did you guys have any questions on any of that? Next, we have appearances. Do you have any miscellaneous stuff? You guys have anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well then I make a motion, we adjourn at 7:56.
Second.
Okay. Anya,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and Michelle.